At once Peleus rejoiced and spake among the throng of his comrades.
Oh, that's me. I'm Peleus.
Yep.
I deem that Poseidon's car has even now been loosed by the hands of his dear wife. And I divine that our mother is none else than our ship herself. God, I chose the right voice for this guy.
You did? I was really impressed with that.
I was like, Peleus, this guy's got some bullshit he's gonna be saying.
Hello, and welcome to Notes from the Oracle. I'm Connor, and together with Jack, my co-host from Cabin 6, we're going into uncharted waters as we explore the monstrous mythology of Percy Jackson and the Olympians. Book 2, The Sea of Monsters. Chapter 16, I Go Down with the Ship. I wrote here, Jack, that I was going to reserve judgment for the title until I'd fully read the chapter. Well, I've fully read the chapter now, and I think this is a lame title. I think this book's got a lot of lame titles, to be honest.
The little note that I wrote myself is that this book's titles are officially just not that great overall.
Yep.
I caught myself thinking that. I was like, damn, we've been saying that for pretty much every title outside of a few.
Well, and for those of you who caught last episode, which you better have, you were aware it's a mega episode! Woo!
Whoa.
Hooray!
Officially precedented now.
That's true. So I did think about both chapter titles, and we'll get to chapter 17 when we get to chapter 17, but spoiler alert, reading both of them and then coming back here, that is part of what made me go, yeah, I think they're just bad in this book.
Yeah. Hey, man, I agree. I really have nothing more to add of substance. You're correct.
Great. Well, now that we've got the chapter title review out of the way, we can move on.
Yep.
And for those of you who may want a little bit of a refresher, we are picking up as Percy and crew are all trying to swim their way out to the Queen Anne's Revenge to escape the island of Polyphemus, as the giant lumbering Cyclops runs down to the beach and starts hurling boulders toward them. And so Percy opens this chapter muttering, "You'd think he'd run out of rocks." Which, my thought, right, is at the very beginning of this book, we saw some important precedent, Jack.
Yeah.
We saw that Lystragonians could summon flaming cannonballs to throw. These are not magical creatures, but they just gotta have a big boulder to throw. Do you think Polyphemus can manifest infinite throwing boulders?
As great as that would be, I think he's just on a rocky beach.
Boo.
That beach in the cliff face that was constantly mentioned as being very rocky. I think it might just be that.
I think you're right, but I do like the idea of him summoning rocks like the Lystragonians.
Yeah. And he's gonna get a lot of mileage out of those rocks. I'll just get out in front of it. I feel like the action this chapter, it's driving in the sense that, yeah, it's more of an action chapter than anything else. Not that interesting overall. I feel like Rick is kind of losing steam with the creativity for what Polyphemus can and does do in terms of fighting. I guess maybe he's just a one-trick pony. He just lumbers and throws shit, which I guess is kind of true to the myth.
Mhm.
But
I've
couldn't we
been
do a
nodding
little bit
along.
more?
Exactly. No, I've been nodding along. I've been agreeing with everything here, Jack. I think we get a chapter here that, to me, really felt like it probably should have just been part of the last chapter. Because the last chapter, it didn't have a lot of substance, but it did have a lot of steam, if that makes sense.
Yes.
It kept you engaged, the action was good, and it drove forward. And I think if you took chapter 16, and I'm not here to do expansive rewrites, like, I'll keep this quick. But if we took chapter 16 and just found a way to cut out half of what's in it, and then tacked it into the end of chapter 15, I think you'd have one better chapter.
Probably. Honestly, if you cut out a lot of the shit where he's just throwing rocks and missing. Yeah, it probably would be a more cohesive, better chapter. And the reason why, and it sounds like you're about to say something, but I'm gonna finish this thought first. There are themes that are played with, specifically when it comes to Tyson and his monsterhood, that come to a climax here. they come to
Mhm.
a head, and they are barely discussed in any sort of depth or detail. And it is so underwhelming. It's so violently disappointing. Now,
Yeah.
there are themes that have been played with throughout the rest of the book. So again, I don't know if it's gilding the lily or putting a hat on a hat to,
Mhm.
really play with them even more. But it happens near the start of the chapter. I'll let you get to your thought before we dive into it. But the idea of Tyson is a Cyclops. Is he a traitor to his people? Or is his people truly just some level of humanity, of personhood? He's not bound to being a monster.
Yeah, I'll put a pin in what I was gonna say because it's mythologically related, and we'll come back to that in a second. Because the chapter really does start off with this discussion around what it means to be a monster versus a person, like you were saying. And I have a different set of thoughts for this than I do for the mythological stuff. And my thing here is I wonder, and I'm not certain of it, to be honest with you. I wonder if this is another chapter that's been done a disservice by the nature in which we're reading the book. Does this chapter feel less underwhelming thematically if we read it continuously with everything else? But in that same vein, you and I, and we talked about it last episode, we're going to talk about it again right now. We've agreed that there are some incredible chapters of Percy Jackson that
Mhm.
are incredible because they're standalone, because they self contain themes that emphasize the themes within the rest of the book. They put their own twist on it for one chapter and they really do something interesting. And even in this book, we've had some of those, right? I don't think that it's nearly as good as The Lair of Medusa, but Circe's Island absolutely is, I think, supposed to be its own kind of self contained narrative in a similar sort of way, where you
Mhm.
have a beginning, middle, and end, and it really hammers home some of the themes from the book with some interesting twists, and it works well and it's intriguing. And this one just goes, "You young Cyclops, traitor to your kind." And Percy's like, "Don't listen to him, man. You're not." And then they just agree. Yeah, he's not. And then they kill him. I mean, they
Yeah.
don't kill him,
Well,
but
they don't. They beat him
you
up.
get my
Yeah.
gist. Yeah.
Yes. No, you're exactly right. I mean, this is the extent of the conversation. I will read from the book everything of substance that happens with this theme. You're right. This is within the first several lines of the chapter. You young Cyclops, Polyphemus roared. Traitor to your kind. Tyson froze. Don't listen to him, I pleaded. Come on! I pulled Tyson's arm, but I might as well have been pulling a mountain. He turned and faced the older Cyclops. I am not a traitor, which is one of his only full sentences. So again, you're like, oh, this is clearly important. We're going to get
Yep.
something profound out of this. Polyphemus goes, you serve mortals, thieving humans. And then Polyphemus throws a boulder, and Tyson swats it away. Tyson goes, not a traitor, and you are not my kind. And that's pretty much it. Like that, genuinely, that's it. Whatever strife was there, whatever battle of ideals, whatever morals were there, we got to figure it out. Tyson is not him, and he's not a traitor, and we can move on. There are some lines here and there throughout the chapter that kind of play with that a little bit more, but
Mhm.
in no way that it really matters. It just simply does not matter. And
Yeah.
it's exceedingly disappointing. And it's more disappointing once we get to a line a little bit later about another thing that binds the three combatants here, which is that they're all sons of Poseidon. And nothing
Mhm.
is done with that. Not a goddamn thing is done with that. And it is excruciating. It's excruciating because this is such a short chapter. It's such a short chapter. And this feels ripe to be a chapter that is a split between action and actual character growth, development, narrative. And
Mhm.
Connor, we've talked about this, I don't know on the podcast, but in our own personal lives, I am a sucker for action being a means of accentuating character growth and narrative and interpersonal dynamics. It's one of my
Yeah.
favorite things about anime.
And
is
speaking of character growth, you've convinced me on that. I am more interested in fight scenes that tell me about the characters now, and especially over the time of you showing me good scenes and examples of this through the podcast
mhm,
than I was before. And so I'm with you. This scene was so ready for some of that, and it
yeah,
just doesn't quite get there.
mhm. Yes, and, to put we'll say a bow on that concept, again, assuming I don't believe we've talked about it on the podcast. For those of you that are like, "What do you mean action can be good at exemplifying characters and showing conflict beyond just the surface level of physical violence?" I would implore everybody who hasn't seen Avatar: The Last Airbender, 1, you should watch that show. It just holds up, it's very good. But 2, watch the Agni Kai fight. The finale battle between Zuko and Azula, because that it truly exemplifies this concept.
100%. That's a great recommendation. I'm gonna slightly side tangent. The interesting thing about that one is I think when I saw that fight in Last Airbender, I assumed that was just Last Airbender being goated. Weirdly, the one that you convinced me on, because I wasn't gonna watch the whole show, was at some point, it was between you talking about it and Overly Sarcastic Productions talking about it as well. It's the scene from Castlevania where they finally
Mm,
fight Dracula.
mhm.
And that scene I just watched, I haven't seen the rest of the show, but I just went and watched that scene on YouTube, and I was like, "Damn, this is another one of those instances where this fight I hadn't seen the rest of the show, and I got all of it."
Uh-huh.
And, weirdly, this fight, it's missing that. It's doing a lot of telling, not showing, especially with lines like, "You're a traitor." "No, I'm not."
Glad we
"Sure,
got that
man."
settled.
Yeah, exactly. "Now we have to fight. Cool, cool, cool." Like,
Uh-huh.
and I thought the same thing where I wanted a big fuck off fight where we get to see the effects of Poseidon in it. And maybe this is Poseidon trying to let Percy fight his own battles. Maybe Percy's gonna take this as like, my dad was with me all along, and that's why I won. Right? That's why the Hippocampi came to us or whatever.
Mhm.
But it really did feel like there could have been something along the lines of I Poseidon, that is, see that Percy is being just and true to himself in this moment, and true to what I value as Poseidon in a way that maybe Polyphemus isn't. And so when Polyphemus prays to his father, Poseidon does give a show of something, and it benefits Percy instead. But instead, we just get, he's not going to show up for either of us because he's my dad too. Fuck you. And
Yeah.
that's the whole thing.
Yeah, I think we're both itching to talk about that a little bit more. So and it truly will not take too much effort to get to that point in the book. Again, it's a lot of like it's just action. It's not particularly good action. Polyphemus fucking trips. Haha, that's funny. Face plants in the water. Tyson and Percy are saying they're gonna, we'll fight them together. Clarice is yelling at Percy from the ship that, come on, like you guys, we gotta fucking go. But Tyson is we get a good, kind of heroic moment from him. He says, "Go. I will hold Big Ugly," which is it's fun. It's a little bit of Percy's rubbing off on him. Maybe they really are
Mm-hmm.
brothers. Percy is freaking out because he doesn't wanna lose Tyson again. He'd already lost him once. He can't handle doing it twice. He says, "No, he'll kill you. We're gonna fight him together." And then Tyson agrees, "Together." Percy draws his sword. Polyphemus begins to advance. Again, remember, he's hobbled right now. One of his legs is just really, really fucked up. He's limping really bad. But his arms are still great. So what does he do, Connor? He's
These
chucking more
boulders,
boulders.
baby.
He's
So many boulders.
it's boulder throwing time. It'll work eventually. And Percy, he's diving to one side. And here's the really good news, Connor. Here's the really, really good news.
Hit me.
Percy's in his favorite element. He's in the water right now.
Yep.
And surely he's gonna stay there. Because why would he lose the clear advantage that he has in the water? So what does he do? He starts using his little water powers. He wills the sea to rise. Very cool. A
Mm-hmm.
20-foot wave surges up, lifting Percy upon its crest. Very cool. He rides towards the Cyclops and kicks him in the eye. Okay, that's dope. He leaps over his head, and water blasts Polyphemus onto the beach.
Yeah, onto the land. Wait, are you
I
not excited about the onto the land part?
It's well, as long as Percy stays in the water, I suppose we should be good.
Too bad
Unfortunately,
he.
Connor, I think he just goes on the land with them. It's not really
Yep.
described from what I could tell, but he's on land too.
Well, if the Cyclops landed on the beach and Percy leapt over his head coming in with the wave, I think that means he specifically placed himself further inland than the
Yes,
other son of
actually,
Poseidon.
that's true. He did put himself so the giant demigod Cyclops is now interposing between Percy and his win condition,
Yep.
the sea,
Awesome.
which is great. Now maybe his thought process is, and again, this is not said in the book, so I refuse to give full credit to it, but maybe Percy's thinking, I don't want him throwing stuff at the ship. I want my friends to be safe. So hey, big ugly, look at me. Not
Yeah.
out to sea. Could potentially be. But it said earlier, Polyphemus doesn't give a flying fuck about the fleece right now. He's pissed at
No.
Tyson and by extension Percy.
Yep.
So probably would have been better to just stay in the ocean. But what do I know? What do I know, Connor?
Yeah. What does a child of wisdom know about strategy?
I
Let
know.
the
Yep.
sea god fight on land.
Fight on land. He'll never expect it. It's the old
Yeah.
switcheroo. After all, Polyphemus is a child of Poseidon. Maybe, the sea's good for him, too. Yeah.
God, if only we had a position where we were in the sea beating him back so that he stayed on land while we were in the water.
Yeah, listen, I'm not an oceanologist, all right? I don't understand the mechanics, but Percy's on land, and that's what matters. Polyphemus says, "Destroy you, fleece stealer!" And Percy, it says, "You stole the fleece? You've been using it to lure satyrs to their deaths." And Polyphemus justifies his actions. So, satyrs good eating. Which, you can't argue with that. If it works, it
I did
works.
enjoy that. That was good.
Uh-huh. Percy is once again being Mr. Good Guy, says the flea should be used to heal. It belongs to the children of the gods. And Polyphemus, this is where again we get something that I thought was warming up for something more
Mhm.
interesting. But it truly doesn't go anywhere. It goes literally nowhere. He points a thumb at his chest. He says, "I am child of the gods." And then he calls to the ocean, he calls to the sea, "Father Poseidon, curse this thief!" And it's so cool. It's such a fucking cool set piece and concept. We have, again, three children of Poseidon fighting
Yeah.
by the ocean. And the fourth child of Poseidon, which we learned about, is flayed with its fucking skin and fleece
Yep.
on the ship. Dude, it's so obvious that there's more they could do with this. It's begging to be discussed in more detail.
I would say, Jack, you're taking words out of my mouth. Because here was my thing, is I wrote that maybe it would establish a dangerous precedent to have Poseidon show up here, right? If every
Mhm.
time there's multiple sons of Poseidon in one place, we would lose out on some interesting monster fights where Poseidon just shows up and is like, oh, you guys both wanted my help here? But I really think that with as many things going on here, you could have done something with that. Especially because in the Odyssey, he does come to the aid of Polyphemus.
Uh-huh.
So why is him invoking him in this moment doing nothing? Why doesn't he show up in any way, right? It would be there's just so many things. Why doesn't the ocean go eerily still? Or
Right.
maybe the waves batter on Percy, but Percy doesn't feel like they're actually hurting him at all. He feels like they're surging with him. And so he realizes like, "Oh, Poseidon is with me. I am embodying his spirit." And then Percy can go, "Hey, we all make mistakes. He had Polyphemus thousands of years ago. He's changed as a person since then, and there's some
Mhm.
nuance." And instead we just get, "Dad, help me." He's not gonna help you. He's my dad too. And then nothing. And that's literally it. That's the whole thing.
I know it's, and I feel like a way that, you know what, I'll say it. You're like, no heavy rewrites. Fuck it. This might be a rewrite chapter. It could have been interesting. I love the idea of the ocean just goes deathly still. And Percy says, I'm his son. He won't play favorites. And it's right. Poseidon doesn't heed Percy's calls, period.
Yeah.
It's his kids fighting. And the implications for that would be so fucking juicy. It'd be so good. It'd be so good. It wouldn't have to be anything super crazy, but I feel like even his absence should have an impact. And here it just doesn't. There's just nothing with it, which is such a missed opportunity on so many levels. It's so frustrating.
I think that's part of what it is, right? In this chapter, his absence is played for nothing. If anything, it's almost played for a laugh. Like, haha, that might have helped you against Odysseus, but it's not going to work against me. And that's like the whole bit. Whereas I really think if you drew attention to Poseidon not being here, not being present, that would say more than it does right now. We're just
Mhm.
doing nothing with it right now. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, I agree. To throw in different perspective too as to why Poseidon either helping Polyphemus through a mission, or I guess you could say it is not helping either. Or maybe he does lend Polyphemus a sort of boon. Who's to say, right? Keep in mind, he is hobbled right now. He is very, very hurt, and he's blind. He is
Mhm.
effectively blind. And they mention it multiple points throughout this chapter. They remind us that he's blinking hard, he's squinting, he can't see, and that it's clear he is targeting Percy and Tyson by the sounds of their voice. So even though Polyphemus is fucking terrifying, I mean, he is a major threat. He is on the back foot right now and is holding his ground as best as he can. And I mean, the sea is unyielding. In a weird roundabout way, he is embodying an aspect of Poseidon.
Mhm. Absolutely. Coming back to just any of these number of ideas, I don't know. I think maybe you could have done something where he rushes into the water and he's like, "The sea will be my strength," and Percy's like, "Haha, psych, not for you because it's going to be one for me too," and they're still on even footing. Anything
Mhm.
like that. I think we're getting a little bogged down in it, but I agree. It just felt like there was something more that could have been done with the children of Poseidon all coalescing here that
Yeah.
just isn't. But instead, we just get a fight on the beach. He rips out a tree, he tries to smack
Oh,
Percy with it.
he specifically rips out an olive tree. A reference to Athena, maybe? I don't know. I'm reaching for
Huh?
any level of depth.
Yeah, I thought about maybe it was like an Odyssey reference because I believe Odysseus carves their wedding bed out of an olive tree, but like, who knows, man? He uses it as a club. Like,
Yeah.
end of the
Uh-huh.
day, he says, "I'm gonna smash you with this," and it never comes up again. Yet again, just
Maybe,
like,
maybe it's a reference to the contest of Athens. Poseidon sent his one son to chop down that
oh,
tree, and he fucking killed himself, and now he's like,
yes,
"Polyphemus, now's your chance. Destroy that tree. Destroy
destroy
that
that
tree, and you'll have my
tree.
blessing."
Yeah, but
No, there's nothing there. It's just a
there's
tree.
nothing there.
Uh, and it
I
leads into something that, again, could have been built on more, which had been
Mhm,
talked about throughout the rest of the book, which is Polyphemus saying, "Humans not the same. Nasty, tricky, lying." Which is a perfect parallel to what Annabeth had been saying about Cyclopes throughout the rest of the
mhm,
book, right? And there's these delineations being made between monsters and inhumans, and again, it's just not. I'm gonna keep saying it. It just doesn't go anywhere. There's
yeah,
nothing more to it than that.
yeah. Well, and the one thing that, like, really caught me as having some narrative weight to it is as Polyphemus is, like, fumbling around, he's trying to find the sounds of their voices so that he can smack them with his tree club. He calls out to Tyson and says, "You weren't raised right." And that is really poignant, especially I think given,
Mhm.
obviously today's political context, but I think across time. There's this idea that people look down at children or the younger generation and they say, tisk tisk, shame on you, you're doing it wrong. And I do think there's some intrigue here, right? There's some room for Tyson to push back and say, no, 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 I know I'm making the right choices. And I guess we get a little bit of that with Tyson, right, stepping forth. He says, don't fight, Cyclops, brother. Put down the. And then Polyphemus spins toward him and smacks Tyson, clearly showing that it was all a ploy. But again, that's like as far as we get with that. I would have really liked to see more of this intrigue between Polyphemus being like, hey, here's what it means to be a Cyclops. It weirdly could have kind of bridged the gap between this arc that we're seeing, where Annabeth needs to realize that not all Cyclopes are evil, but that there are evil Cyclopes, especially if there's a Cyclopes here like Polyphemus that says, hey, it is your place to be evil. It's your place to kill humans. Humans are the ones who are wrong. We just
Mhm.
exist and do this thing. And for Tyson to be able to say, no, we have an ability to self determine. And I
Mhm.
do think that his actions show that. But I would have really liked to see more of Polyphemus really digging into you don't know what it really means to be a Cyclops. You're a weak Cyclops. And that sort of kind of a talking point and really be introspective about that. I understand that this
Yeah.
is a touchy subject. Rick is writing middle grade fiction, and what we're grappling with is just straight up racism
Mhm.
and how people grapple with that and how people form their identities despite it and that sort of thing. And that's tough. And I understand that, but I think I have faith in Rick to know that he can do hard things. He can
Mhm.
write about complicated topics like racism, like self-determination, and
Yeah.
even like generational differences. And I do think if even if he didn't drop the ball, he certainly didn't throw it as far as he could have.
Right. Well, particularly when I feel like he'd been leading up to it again throughout the entire book. Like, this is the culmination. This is it.
Yeah. This
There's
is the
no
moment.
chance after this. And it's he he didn't drop a ball. It's like he threw it and then ran like he was gonna catch it himself and then stopped halfway and was like, nah, I'm done. I'm done with that actually. Never mind. Like, what are
Yeah.
you doing? Some of the best
Yeah.
parts of this book were all about that, and you're just gonna let it peter out?
It definitely feels like there just should have been something more here because I fully agree. Like, obviously, we're not going to get more of this in the next chapter. We've read it. But even going forward, we've been going so slowly and I haven't read those next two chapters yet or anything. But I'm going to wager that even if something does come up that tries to tie this theme together with a nice, neat little bow, you and I are going to go, a lot less impactful than if it had happened in
Yeah,
chapter 16.
too late. Too late. You missed it.
This is the right moment, and I fully agree. I think it's missed in this moment, but
Mhm.
nothing we can do about it now. As I mentioned, Polyphemus hearing Tyson try to be like, "Hey, let's not fight," spins around, he smacks him with the tree. We get a classic Percy line as he says, "The tree struck him with such force it would have flattened me into a Percy pizza with extra olives." I don't know why I just enjoyed that line.
Yeah. That was a good one. That's a good one, but the key here is that Tyson is seeing the I feel like the term humanity feels kinda wrong, but again, he's seeing the person that is Polyphemus and
Mhm,
extending, perhaps not as literally as Polyphemus, extending an olive branch of sorts and saying, he says, "Cyclops' brother, we don't have to fight."
mhm,
But Polyphemus is truly at this point too far gone and has cemented in his mind, like, this is who I am, this is what I do, and you're wrong. Like, I'm just evil. I'm bad. And he's probably pretty okay with it. We see no evidence that he's not. He doesn't struggle with the concept. He doesn't mentally fight the concept. He is an example of being set in his ways. And I like that you mentioned the brings up the idea of you weren't raised right. There is this intergenerational distrust or displeasure with the new generation. And that's a concept
mhm.
called adultism. It's the
Mm,
idea of whenever there's the like, oh, the user, it's all going to hell. They're all a bunch of fucking thugs and, ne'er-do-wells, and it's all horrible. We're cooked. The world is cooked because the new generations are just awful. It's been around for fucking ever, and it's called adultism. The idea that the current adult populace is the ones that they're doing it right, and anything that pushes against that is wrong and dangerous.
I learned a new word today. Thanks, Jack.
Mhm. Yeah, no problems. What I
But that
do.
is exactly what I was trying to talk about. And again, I think there's room there for something to happen, and there's just not a
Mhm.
lot. And speaking of room for something to happen, but there's just not a lot, we get what I feel like is supposed to be, and I know we got a little bit more of this last chapter, but I think what is supposed to be another theme slash kind of B plot getting closed off here. And that's as Percy is diving and ducking as Polyphemus tries to smack him with the tree. He says, "The guinea pig inside me wanted to bolt, but I swallowed down my fear." And yet again, maybe this is just me, Jack, and I'm starting to realize maybe I am lower on this chapter than I thought. I thought it was okay, but I'm starting to realize there's more about it I don't like. This felt like, again, it was supposed to be Rick's swing at trying to close up this arc, right? Percy has been feeling unconfident. He's been in his sad boy era, but
Mhm.
I have to swallow down my fear and persist. That's it, man. That's all we get. The recognition that you're a little scared, but can't be scared right now. Gotta keep fighting.
Yeah.
It's really underwhelming. I have nothing else to say because there's not much else there. It's just underwhelming and comes across a little flat.
Flat. I'm pointing right now, Connor. I'm pointing at your face. That is the word. That's it. You got it in one. That is the perfect word for this chapter. It's just flat.
Mhm. Yeah,
So,
and
yeah.
frankly,
Go
this
ahead.
whole page is kinda that, right? We
Mhm.
get more of Polyphemus just continues to swing the tree for another half a page before Tyson finally manages to tackle him after Percy lands a blow against the giant's face, damaging the already damaged eye, and then they just run for the surf while he's knocked down. And I respect that Tyson's like, "Let him go." Or rather, Percy says, "Let him go, run." And the lesson here is, maybe that they're doing the right thing by letting him go. But I left a pin in. We're gonna come back to it properly. We're about
Mhm.
to see why that's a bad idea. We haven't
Yeah.
learned our lesson the first time. Like, you
Yeah.
just gave this guy mercy last chapter, and he just spat in your face for it last chapter, which for us, it has been a week. For our
Mhm.
listeners, it has been 2 weeks. For
Mhm.
Percy, it's been less than 15 fucking minutes.
Yeah. It's definitely a fool me once, fool me twice scenario. Like, come on, dude. Really? He says, I couldn't do it. Saying he couldn't do it, that's one thing. That's one thing. Him saying it just wasn't right? Mm-mm.
Dog, that's
No,
not
it
true.
Percy, this is the most justified I think you've ever been in killing something.
I
Uh,
am such a
uh-huh.
pacifist, and I know the right choice there was to stab that
You
fucking
gotta
Cyclops again, dog.
you gotta kill that guy.
You gotta kill that guy.
Because if you truly believe in the, like, I have to believe Percy's doing this in the sense of I'm doing everything I can to be better than, like, Luke, right?
Mhm.
Be better than the people that are trying to kill me, who are so set in the mindset of this is how things are. Heroes kill monsters and monsters kill heroes. So he's trying to break that cycle. Unfortunately, it's Polyphemus. There's no nuance. He wants you dead. He is never gonna change.
Yeah,
He
man,
just
how many times do I
isn't.
gotta tell you? He was gonna cook and eat your best friend.
Dude, he was gonna marry two of them.
Yeah.
I
Yeah, let's
just
add rape to the list of awful things he was gonna
I
do.
know, I
Like,
know. Like, I can't wrap my mind around it. And again, I know we're rewriting so much, but it would have been more interesting if Percy just said, I couldn't do it. It's like, despite literally everything, I see Tyson in him. I see a monster that is my brother, and he is my brother, and I just can't do it. Maybe if
Man,
Clarice was here, she could, but I'm not Clarice. I can't.
yeah. Oh, that's a really good line. That would have been a really good line. And to play more with the idea of, like, the Poseidon of it all, why can't he like, I thought about my dad's face, or I heard the rushing of the waves and I knew he was watching me, and I would hate for him to see one of his sons kill another.
Mhm.
Anything, any nuance. And he just goes, "I couldn't do it." And then they run away.
It just isn't right. It just isn't right. Bro, fucking come on. All right. We gotta keep it going. We gotta
We
keep it
gotta keep
going.
pushing. Well, okay,
Um,
that is gonna bring
okay.
us to my pin,
Yes, your
because where
pen,
we keep
please.
going is they plunge into the waves, they manage to get on board the Queen Anne's Revenge, they're sailing away, and then Clarice starts looking back at the Cyclops and taunting him. She yells, "Yeah, yeah, you throw like a wimp! Teach you to try marrying me, you idiot!" And I thought, oh, that's Odysseus.
It's
And then
Odysseus.
Percy says, "Clarice, shut up!" That's the
Uh-huh.
crew. And for me, who's read the Odyssey, the narrative payoff of Polyphemus nails the ship with a boulder and it sinks, I found that satisfying. But I recognize that I only found that satisfying because of the mythology. And
Mhm.
unfortunately, I'm thinking about when I first read this in middle school, I had not read the Odyssey yet.
Yeah.
This is what caused me to read the Odyssey. And frankly, if you don't consider that, this is really fucking annoying and kinda
Mhm.
lame.
Yeah, yep, sure is. It was jingling keys. Rick
Mhm.
jingled the keys, said, "Odyssey, Odyssey, Odyssey," and I said, "Ha ha ha, that's the Odyssey!" And so I kind of did hand wave it, but you're right. It is a lame payoff.
That's it.
It
It
is
was
what
I
it
mentioned it
is.
was a small pin. It's
Yep.
the Odyssey of it all, to be honest, really works for me. And I should be clear, this is only like half a page. The Odyssey of it
Mhm.
all works for this half a page of this chapter.
Uh-huh.
But for the greater scheme of the narrative, I do think it leaves a little left to be desired, but I'll take the reference. We can move
Mhm.
on.
Yeah.
And at
Besides,
least
it's what allows us to
yeah,
get some cool, like, genuinely some neat actually Poseidon stuff. They're
exactly.
sinking. Hey, it's the title. They're sinking with the ship. And as the ship is going down fast, they're all getting sucked into the wreckage. Grover's freaking the fuck out with his hooves. Annabeth is hanging onto the fleece, which, as a reminder, is like 80 pounds. So she's
Yeah, it's
sinking
stupid
truly
heavy.
like a rock. Yeah. Clarice is, a strong swimmer, but she's not making any progress up. And Percy is thinking, do I have the strength to be able to pull all his friends out? He's like, "Probably not, and honestly, even if I did, there's all this wreckage that's floating around. If I get hit on the head, we're fucked. Like, if I get knocked out, I get bonked, it's over for everybody." And so Percy thinks just, "We need help. We need help." And a voice replies, "Yes." It was Tyson's voice, loud and clear in his head. And this is where we get a new interesting fact. Tyson is part boat. And so Percy has a telepathic link with him. He can talk with them. It's truly
I
incredible stuff.
I didn't take it that way, but Jack, I think you're right.
Yeah, well, we've only ever seen him speak telepathically, like clear as day with the boats. So,
Well, boats and fish, and Tyson's clearly not a fish
well,
because
he's not a
fish have 2
fish.
eyes. Mhm.
Exactly, and he can breathe above water.
Yep. So he must be a boat. No, I
So he's a
agree.
boat.
This is a real revelation. This is the meat of the chapter.
But just because I want to humor you, what did you think this meant, Connor?
I thought that this was Poseidon child hand wavy stuff, and I was okay with it.
Yeah, it probably is because Tyson is a son of Poseidon. In fact, it says right there that is exactly why.
Yeah.
So cool. They have a telepathic link, maybe only in the water, maybe all the time. We don't know.
I'm
But
under
they've
the
got it
impression that
now.
it's only in the water.
I have no idea, but they've got it, so that's cool.
Yeah, it's
Um,
useful.
yeah, it's neat being able to communicate to each other underwater. That makes a lot of sense. And Tyson immediately on it. He does the Aquaman. He goes, "Rainbow." And then Percy closes his eyes and they both concentrate. They're
I was
they're
about to
sending
say
out
I can hear the old Super Friends.
Yep. They're calling their fishy friends, Rainbow, we need you. And yay, here come the Hippocampi. Rainbow and his friends come over at high speeds. They seemingly able to read their thoughts. They whisk into the wreckage, and then a moment later burst upwards in a cloud of bubbles. Grover, Annabeth, and Clarice, each clinging onto the necks of the hippocampus. And hooray! They did it!
Yeah.
They're safe. So that's
That,
cool.
yeah, that's basically the end of the chapter at this point. They all hop on. You get a
Yeah.
cute little
Well,
moment between Percy and
hold
Annabeth.
on, hold on, hold on, hold on. And I appreciate you being nice and skipping over it, but we do get Rick really fucking hammering that one singular joke into the ground as they pop
I
up.
know. I tried to skip it. I was genuinely trying to skip it for
I
your sake.
I know, but I gotta stay honest. It does happen. They pop up above the water and they hear Polyphemus, the Cyclops, roaring in triumph. I did it! I finally sank nobody! Which again, he did it before. So what do you mean finally? You mean I did it again?
Yep, that's good. That's good. Cause get it? He didn't sink anybody.
Yeah, well, yeah, he did, yeah, haha. But also literally, he did sink nobody that one time. So,
That's true.
right? You just talked
Well,
about
no,
that.
that's the thing. His rock misses Odysseus's ship, but he does inevitably sink
Oh,
nobody by praying to Poseidon. That's why this worked for me, is because every time he throws a rock as Odysseus taunts him, they all miss, which
that's
is
right.
why I think Clarice is like, no, I take it back. I was about to say, which is why Clarice thinks she can get away with it because Odysseus did. She definitely hasn't read the Odyssey.
Correct.
I'm not giving her that. I'm not giving her that kind of
Yeah,
props.
yeah, yeah.
We've given her some
Gotcha.
props
You
this
know what?
book.
I'll accept it. I guess it's true. I was conflating him praying to Poseidon to fuck up Odysseus with him actually sinking him. No, he gets it. All right, I'll give that one a pass. He did finally sink nobody.
Yep. And it's funny because nobody actually drowns. He sank nobody.
Ha
Haha.
ha ha.
Good
Yep.
one, Rick. Yep.
So yes, you were getting to it is the end.
Yep.
It is a very, I would say, a beautiful moment. I'll give the chapter its flowers
I did
for
really
this
enjoy this
specific.
end bit. Yeah.
Yeah. Annabeth is muttering in exhaustion. She says, "We did it. We," and she slumps against the neck of the hippocampus and immediately goes comatose. And Percy saying, "I have no fucking clue how far the hippocampi are gonna take us. I didn't know where we were going. I just propped up on Annabeth so she wouldn't fall over, covered her in the golden fleece that we'd been through so much to get, and said a silent prayer of thanks." Which reminded me, I still owed the gods a debt. "You're a genius," I told Annabeth quietly. I loved that. I did love that.
That was immaculate. I
Yeah.
literally, this page is perfect.
Yeah.
That's
Yep,
it.
that
The
one
rest of
page
the
is
chapter.
perfect.
Yep. The rest of the chapter, let's not talk about that. Page 231, you've got my seal of approval.
Yeah, god damn. I was kind of on the fence with that chapter too, but wow, rereading it and talking about it with you, didn't like it. Did
Yeah.
not like that.
I also was very on the fence. I came in trepidatious. I thought like, oh, maybe it's just another short one. It's action. It'll flow quick. Talking about it, there's a lot of things I take issue with. And I think it says a lot that my response to that beautiful moment was, wait, this is actually beautiful. That's what I wrote, which means whether I realized it or not, I was looking back at the rest of the chapter and going, huh, that was all garbage in comparison to this.
Uh-huh. Boy,
And then,
but
yeah.
here's the really good news, Connor. We
Mhm.
don't have to linger on this chapter. We don't have
Woohoo!
to.
We get to keep on pushing. Yeah, you ready to just move into the next one?
You have the honors, Connor.
Chapter 17. We get a surprise on Miami Beach, which is the title that made me think, they're just not that great, this book.
I know, also one of the most ominous titles. I don't know, I don't want a surprise on Miami Beach. I
Yeah, I
really
know.
don't. Especially with a bunch of kids? Absolutely not. You guys be safe out there.
Oh no. Oh god. But yes, we have a proper time gap between this chapter and the next one. Annabeth is shaking Percy's shoulder to wake him up as salt water splashes his face, and he looks up. The sun is setting behind the city skyline, and he realizes they're by some sort of city with neon red and blue signs, a harbor filled with sailboats and cruise ships, and Annabeth tells us Miami, I think. But the Hippocampi are acting funny. And I liked this next bit because we love when Rick takes every opportunity to push his environmentalist message because he's right. And he says that the hippocampi didn't look happy. One of them was sneezing, and Percy can tell what they're thinking. Too many humans, too much pollution. This is as far as they'll take us.
Yep.
That's it. I like whenever Rick manages to sneak it in there. Hey, by the way, in case you forgot, I care about the environment, and you should too. Good on you,
Yeah.
Rick.
Yeah, great. Yeah. Appreciate that. Cool.
Yep. After we learn that it is too polluted for the hippocampi to proceed, they start packing up their gear. We learn that Tyson has made himself a little makeshift saddle pack. He cries as he thanks Rainbow and their friends. And they start heading up toward the shore of Miami. The hippocampi disappear beneath the surface of the sea, and they're back properly in the mortal world. Hooray! This leads to a
Hooray.
couple of things. Tyson's eye blurs again from the mist. Grover puts on his hat and sneakers. And even the fleece had transformed from a sheepskin to a red and gold high school letter jacket with a large glittery omega on the pocket, which wasn't really sure why it's an omega, but yeah, sure, man.
'Cause, Greek, you know?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's all the reason I could find that this made sense.
'Cause
So
it's cool
yeah,
and it's
because it's
Greek.
Greek.
Yeah. Mhm.
And of course, they've been in a monstrous place, so they gotta check out what day it is. Annabeth runs over, checks the Miami Herald. She says, June 18th? We've been away from camp 10 days. Clarice says, that's impossible. And I love that Percy, who often, least smart person in the room, is like, yeah, guys, of course it's like, we've been in the sea of monsters. What do you expect?
Yeah. Yeah, time travels very differently in monstrous and mythological places. It's one of those little things that it doesn't really matter, but, like, come on, guys. Let's try not to be outwardly stupid. I guess it's Clarice, so I don't know. She wasn't at the Lotus Casino. Maybe she's new to this, perhaps,
I
but
guess.
it was a little
Well,
weird.
and
It's also one of those things where, like, I don't know if you felt this way. He said,
mhm.
"Oh, whoa, it's been 10 days, bum, bum, bah." And I was thinking, "That's all?" Like,
Yeah, we're
holy
like at the
shit.
end of the book. Of course it's been like 10 days.
Yeah, like, it's only been 10 days? You guys traveled so far and did so fucking much.
Yeah, but this does give us important information. Grover says, we have to get the fleece back tonight because otherwise Thalia's tree is gonna die. Clarice slumps down. She says, how are we gonna do that? We're hundreds of miles away. No money, no bitches. This is just like the Oracle said.
That's true. Percy's just going over, patting her on the shoulder. He's like, "Yeah, first time."
Yeah.
Yeah, it sucks,
Ugh.
doesn't it? Yeah, you wanted a quest. Well, this is it. This is it.
Welcome to
You're right.
questing.
No money, no ride, no pussy, nothing. This is what it feels like.
And of course, she's blaming Percy. And I love that Annabeth immediately jumps to his defense. Percy's fault? How can you say that? And Percy, yet again, he is being the only reasonable person, and he is telling them to stop fighting. It's the proximity to the water, it's given him extra brain cells.
Yeah. I was gonna say his brain's actually working. All his cortexes are firing. I need to get out of shitting on the book mode right now. And this is the danger of doing a
The
double
dual
feature,
chapter.
the dual chapters, because I need to like reset. I really do love Percy. Honestly, throughout this chapter, he does a really good job at several things.
God, he's so
Um,
smart this chapter, and it's
he's
actually so fucking fun.
it's insane how clever and smart he is, but he's also very wise. He's properly wise in this scenario. And I love how he's saying, like, Annabeth, stop. I know. I also love to be mean to Clarice. She's one of my least favorite people. But honestly, we might kind of suck here. Like, think about it from her perspective. And that's what he does. Says, this quest is supposed to be Clarice's. It doesn't matter how she got it. She did get it, though. And she technically didn't ask for it. It was thrust upon her. And she couldn't say no. I mean, she could, but come on, she couldn't say no. And Percy's like, dude, I don't know how I'd feel if I got a quest and a bunch of these random fuck off heroes just show up and made me look bad. Percy would fucking hate that.
Mm-hmm. That's like the big thing he's concerned about at the beginning of this book is his image.
Mm-hmm.
I think this is a great full circle moment for him.
Yes.
And what makes it so much better is when she's talking about the Oracle said this is exactly what had happened. Percy must have latched onto that. He's thinking about it. He thinks about the way Ares was yelling at Clarice on the
Mm-hmm.
CSS Birmingham. And God, I just love his introspection throughout all of this. He's realizing how much this means to Clarice. And he says, Clarice, what did the Oracle tell you exactly? Which finally,
Mm-hmm.
God, prophecies are important, folks.
I know. Again, this is the chapter, and I put a note later, but this is the return of Percy, the god of questions.
Yes, it so is.
Uh-huh.
And it's a
Yeah, and
great question.
it is! It's a phenomenal question! Not just what did he tell you, word for word, bar for bar. What is the prophecy? And it is a short one. Connor, I know you being the oracle for who the notes are from. Would you like to share what it is?
You shall sail the iron ship with warriors of bone. You shall find what you seek and make it your own. But despair for your life entombed within stone and fail without friends to fly home alone.
Oof.
That's what Grover said.
I know. It's very funny. In my book, I wrote literally right after that, I put ouch. And then I read the next line, which is Grover saying ouch. Like, ooh, yeah, there's a reason I like that guy. He's thinking what I am.
And I love that I can just see Percy as she's saying this. He's furrowing his brow. He's thinking, and I can like see the moment when he's snapping his fingers. And he's like, no, no, wait a minute. I've got it. And he does. He starts rummaging in his pockets. He goes, does anybody have any cash?
Well, hold on. It's important what he finds in his pocket.
That's true. He finds a
He
golden
finds
drachma.
one golden drachma, but no real, like, mortal cash. And so Annabeth and Grover are shaking their heads. They're always broke as fuck. Again, if only, oh, if only they had something that solved all of their money problems forever and always. I'm gonna keep
Yeah,
going
man.
on. I'm
Yep.
gonna keep I'm gonna keep going. They
God,
don't
if
have
only there was
money.
a Lotus cash card somewhere out there that they had. Anyhow, yeah, they don't have money.
Yeah, Clarice does have wet Confederate dollars though, which is like, why do you have that? Like, I
A
know why you
single,
have it. Why did you keep it though? Is like maybe
a
a little
single wet
token.
Confederate dollar.
Mhm.
I do
Uh,
have a theory, and that's
okay.
because as a child of Aries, she does believe in preparing for the worst case scenario. That's her Tinder. That's Firestarter.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say she thought the South would rise again, so she was prepping.
Always ready.
Some are still fighting to this day. Like,
That's the
oh,
Aries always has a
oh,
plan.
always has a plan. That's right.
It's like your plan is
Uh,
one Confederate dollar. I didn't say it was a good plan. I just said I had
it's
one.
it's called seed capital, Percy. Tyson doesn't understand the concept of money. He says, "Cash, like green paper." Then I like the next line. I looked at him. Yeah.
Yeah, man. What about it?
But then he goes, like, kind in duffel bags? And Percy goes, yeah, but we lost those bags days ago. And he starts stuttering as he looks at Tyson rummaging through his little saddle pack and pulls out a Ziploc baggie just filled with cash.
That's drug
filled
money.
with
You're
it.
in Miami. You guys look like drug dealers now.
I was gonna say, yeah, and they're on the Miami Beach. Somebody's gonna come out from under the docks and be like, "Hey, you looking to buy?" Like, Tyson, you don't even know what money is. How did you? Why did you? He goes, thought it was a feed bag for Rainbow. Found it floating in sea, but only paper inside. Sorry. It's like, dude, no,
Oh,
don't
buddy.
apologize. That's exactly it. You're 100% right. He hands him the cash. It's fives and tens and at least $300, which in 2006, more than enough to get a flight from Miami to New York.
Yeah, that's where I wrote ouch. Specifically because my wife and I are flying to a wedding very soon from time of recording. And I gotta tell you, oh boy, plane tickets to Miami, they are more than $300 right now.
Yeah, ouch, man. Like you said,
Yeah,
but no time for that.
no time
He
for that indeed.
he takes the money from Tyson. He runs to the curb. He does his best New York taxi. Calls a cab.
Yeah, that's just, he's got proficiency with that. He's from New York.
It's true. Yeah, it's his one passive mortal ability. He yells for Clarice. He says, "Come on, you are going to the airport. Annabeth, give her the fleece." Which my hands are up. Cinema. Percy, you're a smart guy.
This is really good. I really
Percy,
liked this moment.
you're a smart guy. And he says both of them look stunned. He doesn't know who looks more stunned, but both are clearly stunned. He takes the leather jacket, the letter jacket, the fleece from Annabeth, tucks the cash in the pocket, puts it in Clarice's arms, and Clarice says, You'd let me? Which is a fascinating choice of words for Clarice. She
Mhm.
never lets people let her do anything. She simply does.
Yeah. I think this really speaks to what she is thinking of Percy, and in this more private space without the eyes of her peers, she has just seen this man at full strength, and he saved her life multiple times. I think she's starting to realize that, like, damn, this guy is the hero for a reason. He doesn't fuck
Yes.
around.
Well, this book, pretty much this entire book, even at the beginning before the quest, they have been staunch allies. They've been at each other's throats verbally, but they've been on pretty much the same page with regard to the big important stuff.
Mhm. And as you said, she's like, "You would let me?" And Percy's like, "It has to be you. Go to the airport, get on a plane, you have to fly home alone." That's what the oracle meant, that's what the prophecy means, and she thinks about it.
Yeah, well,
She
let's break that down a little bit more. Let's break it
Mhm.
down just a little bit more. He one says it's your quest, which is again all she's wanted this entire time, for
Yeah,
it to
so
be
big of him.
her quest. Huge, absolutely massive. He says we've only got enough money for the one flight, and I can't travel by air. Zeus will smite me. He will blow up the plane. And that's what the prophecy meant. You'd fail without friends. That's the key word. You need our help, but you are flying home alone. You have to be the one to get the fleece back safely. And like, God, I love the prophecy bullshit so much. I love how emphasizing one word versus another changes the whole fucking thing. It's one of the most fun aspects of Percy Jackson in my mind.
Yes. Dude, it's so fucking good, it's so fun. Truly, I just loved everything about this interaction as we get to see Percy truly at his best, as he inspires her. That's
Mhm.
what I really felt in this moment when she jumps in the cab and she says, "You can count on me. I won't fail." Percy is demonstrating his qualities as a natural leader. He's trusting his instincts. He's basically doing everything that Cersei told him he wasn't capable of. And that, to briefly draw it back to last chapter, because we're picking up, we're enjoying this one.
Mhm.
To briefly tie it back to last chapter, that is why the guinea pig line of "I pushed down my fear and I had to keep pushing through" feels so lame, is
Mhm.
because this is what it's competing against. This is really showing us Percy has gained his confidence back. This is
Yeah.
showing us that Percy is in his element, he's trusting his judgment, and Annabeth even is like, he can't tell if she's questioning him or impressed by him when she says, "Percy, that was so." And Grover offers up generous, and she says insane. And I just love that Percy's like, maybe it was, maybe it wasn't, but that's what we got to do. She deserves a chance, and this is the right path.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really fucking good. And I really like how we get to see each character's perspective. Grover, generous. Annabeth, insane. And Tyson, nice. It encompasses what each character sees in Percy. And I think that's really valuable because I don't think any of them is really saying anything super negative. Obviously, Annabeth is calling him insane, but I do think that in many ways, especially as a child of wisdom who is thinking very logically all the time, occasionally what she needs is someone to present a solution that wouldn't be in the logical thought process that might actually work and be what they need.
Yeah,
That's it. This is just a really good scene.
it is, yeah, and Percy even points out, like, Annabeth is grumbling and being kinda pissy about it, but deep down, there was a little part of her that was clearly impressed, and he did surprise her, and that's tough to do. So he's gonna put that as a little feather in his cap and say that, at the very least, I surprised Annabeth Chase, and that's huge.
But with that, we of course can now get to, and honestly, I hesitate to call this the good part because I think we just had the best
Yeah.
part.
Yeah.
Genuinely, that was the really, really good stuff. But
Uh-huh.
hey, it's time for Luke. Percy
Yeah,
says,
which
"Come on,
is
guys, let's
yeah.
find another way home." And then he turns around and there's a sword leveled at his throat.
Yeah, dude, this genuinely is a jump scare, which is crazy. I didn't
Yes.
know that books could do that. There's
Yeah.
no like, no formatting break. It's not like, "And there's a break in the paragraph," or, "And there's a break in the page," which is crazy because we do get a break in the page after, which is what you'd
Mhm.
expect when something crazy like that happens. Instead, it's just your eye isn't drawn to it. So you aren't expecting anything. "Come on, guys, let's get another way home." I turn around, I find a sword pointed at my throat. And then the
Oh,
next line,
fuck.
"Hey, cuz, welcome back to the States." Like, "Oh, fuck. Oh,
Yeah.
shit. Uh-oh. Okay. Wasn't expecting that at all." I was genuinely
Shit.
surprised by that.
Yeah, game over. I guess we're fucked now. Like,
Yeah. And, I mean, he's got his bruisers there too. The Bearman thugs are on either side.
mhm.
Kind of interesting that the mist, like, isn't impacting them. I thought it would have been interesting to see what they looked like now that they're back in the mortal world. But hey, whatever. Again, it's a very minor thing, and truly I didn't think about it until after I read the chapter. In the moment,
Yeah,
you're just like, "Oh, fuck, they're here."
I was about to say that Miami might just be used to bear men, but I don't think that's true.
No, they are, Connor. They are. You just aren't thinking about it like I am. Uh
Yeah. Oh, no.
Okay. So that's true. There are a lot of bears in Miami, and we're shocked by them. That's the surprise on Miami Beach. Percy is truly taken aback, and Tyson is putting up a fucking fight.
Yeah.
Agrius and Aureus are grabbing Annabeth and Grover. One of them grabs Annabeth and Grover, and then the other tries to grab Tyson, but Tyson just fucking bats him away into a pile of luggage and then roars at Luke. And Luke says, "Percy, tell your giant to back down, or I'll have Aureus bash your friends' heads together." And Aureus grins and raises Annabeth and Grover off the ground while they're kicking and screaming, which is crazy.
Yeah, it's good villain shit, I'm not gonna lie.
It
That
is,
goes
especially
hard.
because he's doing it to Grover and Annabeth. Like, he is at this point, there's no humanity left.
None.
He's sold it all.
What really gets me is Percy growls, "What do you want, Luke?" And Luke just fucking smiles. It's the smile that really did it for me. And he
Uh-huh.
gestures toward his boat. And that's when Percy realizes there is the biggest boat in port, the Princess Andromeda. And he says, "Why, Percy? I want to extend my hospitality, of course." Which, with what we know, because we've talked about hospitality on the podcast here,
Uh-huh.
we know that he is about to just spit in the face of the gods. This is not hospitality at all. And I genuinely think that this is intentional, especially given the line we got from Hermes of all people. about
Yep.
Percy's hospitality earlier to just truly be a way to show that Luke gives no fucks what the gods think. He will take
Mhm.
every opportunity to spit in their faces.
Yeah, 100%. I love how you tied it back to that.
And so this is where we get the page break you mentioned earlier. Percy says the Bear Twins herded us aboard the Princess Andromeda. They threw us down on the aft deck in front of a swimming pool with sparkling fountains that sprayed into the air. Make a note of that. That's important.
And it's a surprise tool that'll help us very soon, actually.
Yes. And then we get, I was going to say like a parade of Luke's goons. And that's exactly what Percy calls them. He calls them Luke's assorted goons. Snake people, Lystragonians, demigods in battle armors. And they had gathered to watch us get some quote unquote hospitality.
It's them scare quotes.
hmm And now Luke's got to get to business. And so the fleece, where is it? He starts prodding them as if like I do love the idea that he's like, "What'd you put it in a pocket? You have one of those now?
Yeah,
You
I
have a
was gonna
magic
say,
pocket?"
who's wearing it? Because I'd wear it. Like,
Yeah. It's like it didn't transform into Grover's hat. And you guys are wearing any other like interesting clothes.
uh-huh.
And
I,
I just love the
it
way
is
he describes them like
interesting.
prodding them with his sword.
Yeah, I mean, there's an interesting kind of thing there where, Luke's like, I mean, I don't know what it'll look like when it's hidden by the mist. Like, it could be a fucking pocket protector for all I know. Who's to say,
Yeah.
right? Crazier things have happened. But it's obviously not on them. So he's
Mhm.
musing. I like Luke muse. And this is I'm gonna put a little pin here. Luke is very cool, and he knows he's in control right now. And this is when
Mhm.
I like Luke the most. This is when I find him most compelling. And little pin in that. He pokes at Grover's jeans. Grover yells, "Hey, that's real goat fur under there." Luke, being a sadistic asshole, says, "Sorry, old friend. Just give me the fleece, and I'll leave you to return to your little nature quest." Grover protests in anger. He's like, "Yeah, some old friend." And Luke drops whatever little game kind of, repartee he's playing. He goes, "You didn't hear me. Where is the fleece?" And Percy says, "Yeah, not here. Fuckface.
Yeah,
You
pretty
idiot."
much.
And he says, "I probably shouldn't have told him anything, but damn, did it feel really good to throw the truth in his face. We sent
You're
it on ahead
good.
of
You're
us."
good, Percy. You deserve a good gloat. You've been so
Yes.
smart this chapter.
But yeah, Percy is saying, ultimately, you fucked up, Luke. Once again. Once again, man, you really can't finish a quest, can you?
Mhm. God.
And yeah, I know it sucks. Luke is, he's still going through some of the permutations. His eyes narrow. He says, "You're lying. You couldn't have." And then his face reddens as a horrible possibility occurs to him. He goes, "Clarice?" And Percy just nods. And I do like this little sputtering back and forth. He goes, "You trusted. You gave." Percy goes, "Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I did.
Yeah. Sure did. Yeah, didn't expect that, did you?"
Oh my god, dude, it's so earned. And, you
Yeah.
get this switch flip where he yells, "Agrius!" Yes." "Get below and prepare my steed. Bring it to the deck. I need to fly to the Miami airport. Fast!"
Yeah, which
There is a
also just
completely different Luke.
as an aside, Connor, God, I wish I could command people to fetch me my steed. God, I know that would make me so much happier as a person. I know that shit feels so good. Oh my god.
You know, Jack, coming from you, that doesn't surprise me
That
one
adds
bit.
up.
Yeah. You should go to a nice fancy restaurant where they do valet parking. You should drive up in your nice fancy car, and then you should tell the valet kid, "Fetch me my steed."
Prepare my steed. Yes, the 2020 Ford Fusion.
Oh, man. And
Mhm.
then he goes, "I need to fly to the Miami airport fast," which does kinda lose all of the traction he just got in the cool department. I don't know.
Yes. Yeah.
And then
It's yeah, it's we get Luke losing it. He has lost his temper. He says, "Do it!" or I'll feed you to the Draken. And the bear man
Oh.
gulps and he starts lumbering down the stairs. Luke is now doing the evil guy pace, the back and forth pace in front of the swimming pool. He's cursing in ancient Greek. He's gripping and ungripping his sword so tight that the knuckles turn white. And the rest of the crew looks a bit uneasy. And Percy wonders, maybe they'd never seen their boss so unhinged before. And then Percy gets an idea. Maybe if I could use Luke's anger, get him to talk so everybody could hear how crazy his plans were. And this is one of those moments where Jack, needed to remember that this is a book for kids.
Hmm.
This is a book for children because it's a good plan. It's a good plan if you live in a world where people saying crazy things make people not want to follow them anymore. Unfortunately, Luke is the leader of a fascistic insurgency in which he could say and has already said insane nonsense bullshit, and people have followed him. Him losing
Yep.
his cool here is not going to fucking change their minds. And for anybody wondering, is that the case? I would like to gesture to the world.
The real world.
Hello.
Look
I
outside
would
your window.
I'd recommend it. It's not just the US, it's the anti-democratic sentiments literally going on across the globe. Look at it. Crazy shit is said in the open every day, and people cheer it on because they hear what they want to hear. So,
Yep.
unfortunately, this wouldn't really work. And we'll get to a little bit later as to why I actually think it's a bit dangerous what Percy is doing. But I am just throwing that
Mm.
out there. We'll talk about it a little bit later. His plan is good from the perspective of a 13-year-old that has not experienced real life or the
Yep.
machinations of the rise of a fascist state.
Yep.
So he says, surely these people can be reasoned with. Surely these monsters can be reasoned with too. Again, Percy's now like, hey, not all monsters are bad. Maybe there's
Yeah.
more in common between us than us and the gods. Who's to say, right? And he starts looking around. He looks at the swimming pool, and then he looks at the fountains that are spraying mist in the air, and they're making a rainbow in the sunset. And he's got an idea. Percy says, "You've been toying with us all along. You wanted us to bring you the fleece and save you the trouble of getting it." And Luke scowls. He goes, "Yeah, of course, you idiot. And you messed everything up." Now, this is where we start getting Luke where I find he is not nearly as interesting. Him having a temper is one thing. Him monologuing all of the intimate details of his plan feels lazy and a little out of character.
Yeah. I do think and I agree with what you're saying, so this is just me trying to give the book some grace.
Mhm,
I do think that you can give it the classic, he thought he was gonna kill them right after this, so it doesn't matter, and
mhm,
especially because when you think about it in the context of the gods, I think Luke is thinking about whether or not Kronos is listening, and
mhm,
this is him less monologuing to Percy in some senses, as it is performing for Kronos in a certain way of like, "Ugh, I'm so stupid. You were right. Let me, like, self-flagellize so that my vindictive overlord recognizes that I know I'm stupid."
Sometimes, Connor, you give a justification, and I'm like, "I like that. I'm not accepting that one."
That's fine. It's definitely stretching it a little bit. That's how you could perhaps justify what is going on here. But yes, Luke fully does just go into monologuing mode as Percy asks question after question, says, "Traitor!" And he start as he's doing this, I like he's digging in his pocket. He grabs the last golden drachma and he throws it at Luke. This that I did think was clever, and
Mhm.
it sails into the rainbow-colored water. And I like Percy. He says, I hoped my prayer would be accepted in silence. I thought with all my heart, oh goddess, accept my offering." And then he
Mhm.
cleverly says, "You tricked all of us, even Dionysus at Camp Half Blood," which is such an oddly specific person that I feel like Luke should have been like, "Now, why'd you say that? You don't like him. Why do you care if I fooled that guy?"
Yep. Hey, man, I'll give it credit. It's goofy, it's fun, it's a clever idea, again, utilizing the fountain. And Luke clearly isn't thinking straight. And sure enough, the fountain begins to shimmer. but he needed everybody's attention. So he uncaps Riptide, and Luke sneers, said, "This is no time for heroics, Percy. Drop your puny little sword, or I'll have you killed sooner rather than later." And this is when we get properly the God of Questions, Percy Jackson.
Hmm.
It's nonstop. It's a fucking barrage of questions, Connor. "Who poisoned Thalia's tree, Luke?" "I did, of course," he snarled. "I already told you that." Again, and that's where, like, it's weird that Luke is just getting strung along this easily. And again, Percy is the God of questions, but his responses feel a little too form-fitting for exactly what Percy wants and not for what Luke would give.
Yeah, it does feel like there should be a little bit of like an eyes narrow. What's your game, Percy?
Mhm. So, yeah, we talked about that already. What, you drown and lose even more brain cells or whatever?
Yeah, something to that extent. But
Mhm.
hey, Percy's doing what he's doing. He says, "Who poisoned Thalia's tree, Luke?" "I did, of course. I already told you that. I used elder python venom, straight from the depths of Tartarus." Percy, Chiron had nothing to do with it? What an oddly specific question, Percy. Ha!
Uh-huh.
You know he would never do that. The old fool wouldn't have the guts. And this I did enjoy. Percy going, you call it guts? Betraying your friends? Endangering the whole camp?
3
That is
questions
something
from
that I
the
think,
god. 3 questions back to back to back from the god of questions himself.
there we go. But truly, I think this is something that people need to hear consistently, that you doing something that actively hurts others because you think, oh, other people just don't have the guts to do it. No, you're just an asshole. Like, hey, fucking surprise. If other people think you're an asshole and you think, oh, I'm just the only person who's strong enough to do it, nah, you're just an asshole.
Yeah, it's that right of might concept. The idea
Hmm.
of any action taken over inaction, even if that inaction is peaceable, then that means that your nefarious action is justified because you had the strength to take it. It's wrong.
Yep.
It's wholly incorrect and antisocial, but it is a building block of, again, what Luke is writing, which is this fascistic ideology.
Hmm. And so this is where we get the, "You sly dog. You got him monologuing."
He says, "You don't understand the half of it. I was gonna let you take the fleece once I was done with it." And that's when Percy's like, "Okay, that threw me off a little bit. Why would he let me take the fleece? Like, he must be lying right now, but I can't lose this track yet. I'll get to that later."
Hmm.
Percy says, "You were going to heal Kronos." Luke says, "Yeah, the fleece's magic would have sped up his mending process by tenfold." And this is where, again, stakes are, I don't know if they're raised, but they persist. "You wouldn't have
Hmm.
stopped us, Percy. You've only slowed us down a little." So it wasn't that we learned the fleece is not necessary. It's not a necessary component for the ritual that's happening. It just would have helped it along a lot.
Yeah, it's a nice to have.
Mhm. And again, it's his Percy is he's taking a deposition right now, and he's
He really is.
cross-examining. He says, "So you poisoned the tree, you betrayed Thalia, you set us up, all to help Kronos destroy the gods." And Luke gritted his teeth. He said, "You know that. Why do you keep asking me?" And this is where we get, uh-oh, mic drop, "Because I want everybody in the audience to hear you." Luke yells, "What audience?" And then his eyes narrow. He looks behind him. His goons do the same thing, and they gasp and stumble back. Because above the pool, shimmering in rainbow mist, was an iris message vision of Dionysus, Tantalus, and the whole camp in the dining pavilion. They sat in stunned silence watching us. Now, Connor, that little pin that I put in there, where
Mhm.
I said in this book for children that this is a clever idea, but in reality I fear is more dangerous.
Mhm.
We know already that Luke has an appeal with campers, with the
Yeah.
demigods. And there is something to be said about platforming a fascist in the marketplace of ideas. and how it can only be dangerous doing it. Because if 99 people say that's batshit insane, but one person says, I like that, then that's one more fascist in the world than if you just didn't say it at all.
Yeah, I wish I had anything I could say to disagree, but unfortunately, we will see over the coming books that more demigods will join Luke's cause. And how oddly poignant that I think what Percy really succeeded in doing here was creating divisiveness.
Mhm.
He made the people that were on his side, on Percy's side, more devout to it. They're looking
Yes.
at Luke and they're saying, how could he? But I think you're right that there are absolutely demigods that are looking at this going, well, he's making changes, he's doing
Yeah.
something, and that
Uh-huh.
is dangerous.
It is. And I mean, I said I think it was earlier in this book, maybe it was the end of last book, the idea that Luke says, "You're already fighting a war. You guys just don't know it yet.
Mhm.
You don't know it yet." If anything, this Iris message is one of the finalizing factors that gets most everybody up to speed with, "Oh, fuck, we're late to the party."
Yes. Yep. And so once people know they're late to the party, they're gonna have to pick sides. And yeah, most people
Mhm.
will probably pick Percy's side at camp. Most.
Mhm. So, again, this was me. I'm trying to separate some of the real shit from the clearly, like, fantastical, this is middle grade fiction stuff, but it it didn't leave a sour taste in my mouth because, again, I still think it was clever, and I don't think it's out of character for Percy to do this, and it is, in a fantastical way, fun to see Luke get his comeuppance where it's like, the average person is rational and sees this as crazy.
Step in if you disagree with what I'm saying here, but I really do see this as, frankly, Jack, you are saying that something that is important for people to hear. For adults in the real world, I can look at our demographics. If you're listening, you're around our age, you're an adult.
Mhm.
This is important for you to know. If you're a kid reading this, this is really clever and fun. And frankly,
Yes.
it's a little sad for me that we have to separate those two things and that we can't
Mhm.
live in our fantasies where you see someone evilly monologuing and it's just like, yeah, wait a minute. That guy's evil.
Uh-huh.
But really, even here, we're gonna see people looked at that and didn't go, "Hey, wait a minute, that guy's evil." So maybe it's more realistic than we thought it was, and that sucks.
I don't think it's a bad moment. I think it plays with some interesting things, and it's just
Yeah.
something that it was at the forefront of my mind reading it.
Mhm. But I wanna twist it, and I wanna pull us into a discussion about something that is much more positive. Jack, you deserve some some applause. You were right. Every prediction you've made so far, this book was right, and maybe you forgot it. But you specifically saying, "Connor, I don't really remember this, but it feels like Luke is setting them up for this quest. He's letting them have the Golden
Mm,
Fleece."
mhm.
This is me acknowledging, you were right. Well done. Well done. You nailed it.
Hey,
Yet again,
yippee!
outsmarted this middle grade fiction.
Let's
That is
go play the
exactly what was
fanfare.
happening. Luke was trying to let them steal the fleece so that he wouldn't have to. I'm just
Mhm.
saying, man, you nailed it in one.
It's true, and there are a couple other things that I also might be correct about that are mentioned as well. It's not confirmed, but I think they add to my theory. The idea of Luke saying, "I was gonna let you take the fleece once I was done with it." Yeah, because they want Dahlia back. Because again, it
Mhm.
doubles the number of big 3 kids that are out there that could turn, which is that's just the numbers game,
Mhm.
right? And then later, we'll get to it in a second, it's mentioned again. But before then, we've gotta deal with the audience that's watching, mainly
Yep.
Dionysus, who is watching, and I can just imagine the look on his face of just it's a slight squint and a frown of distaste of like, "Wow, this is not the dinner time entertainment I wanted."
Yeah. You know what? I like that we get one more silly tantalist comic bit where he's grabbing at the cheeseburger. It doesn't bolt
Mhm.
away from him. He gets it right up off the plate. He stares at it for just too long, as if it were the largest diamond in the world. He cackles, I got it! And then Mr. D says, "We are no longer in need of your services, Tantalus. You may return to the underworld. You are dismissed." What? But no, but no! And as he
Uh,
dissolves into mist, the burger just falls back onto the
falls on
plate.
falls on the ground. Yeah, and the reason he's dismissed is because, well, we can reinstate Chiron. Chiron didn't do the poisoning. He didn't fail. He whatever. So Mr.
Mhm.
D's like, all right, great, cool. I miss our Pinochle games anyways. I'll bring him back.
He's so nonchalant, and I understand that that really is a good portrayal of one part of the gods of, like, this, uh, brutal dismissiveness and disregard for human affairs. But, like, the way that he's like, "Oh, okay, whatever. I guess this is Revelations or something. Sure, you're gone."
Yep.
What
Now
were we
back
talking
to my
about?
Pinochle game.
Yeah, exactly.
uh, as Tantalus leaves, the campers explode into cheering. They fucking hated that guy.
And they really did.
Hooray! He's being tortured forever again. Yippee!
It was
And
kinda fucked
this
up
is,
when you put it that way, huh?
I mean, yeah, but like, fuck him. He was a
Yeah,
bad guy.
true, he's evil.
Luke bellows with rage. He's doing his Kylo Ren right now, destroying the fucking console. He's slashing his sword through the fountain. The Irish message dissolves. The deed is done. And Percy's feeling pretty damn good about himself until he looked at Luke, who is staring daggers at him and wants him dead. Wants him dead, buried, and then he wants to dig him back up and kill him again.
Yeah.
Uh,
It's rare that Rick specifically tells us, "This person wanted to kill this other person." And he says Luke
yes.
gave him a murderous look. This is a human character that Rick is actively like, "Yeah, this human wants to kill another human." Just that
Uh-huh.
doesn't happen a lot. That's a big deal.
It is a big deal. And this is where we get what I was mentioning earlier, my little Talia theory. We get
Sir.
another line. Luke says, Kronos was right, Percy. You're an unreliable weapon. Keyword weapon. You need to be replaced. Keyword replaced. Once again, I'm telling you, dude. I'm telling you. It's because Thalia. It's all about Thalia. They want her in the fucking mix. They
Wow,
want her in
man.
the mix.
I fully agree. And what struck me about this is that this line from Luke, to me, reads as telling us that Luke really did think he could keep Percy alive. I actually think that this tells us a lot about Luke's headspace in The Lightning Thief. Yeah, he wanted Percy to get dragged to Tartarus, but that was only because it was necessary, right? If there were another
Mhm.
another way, he would have done it. He has actively been pushing to Kronos plans that keep Percy alive.
Yeah.
That is crazy. It's a little detail here in a chapter that's mostly about Luke being super fucking cruel and evil. But I do think it goes a long way to helping keep his inevitable arc intact. You have to have
Mhm.
small moments like this one where you see, but he did really intend to keep him alive to just further his plot and to
Mhm.
make the ending of this 5-book series really feel like it works.
Yeah. I agree. But we're basically at the end. Percy says, I have no fucking clue what he's talking about. And truthfully, I don't have time to think about it. Because one of his men blows a brass whistle, and the deck doors fly open, and a dozen more warriors pour out onto the deck, encircling the group with the brass tips of their spears bristling. Luke smiles. You're never going to leave this boat alive.
Oh, that's not
Yeah,
good.
oops. That's not good. And that's that chapter. Better than the last.
Yeah, that's where I'm
Definitely,
leaning. Definitely
yeah,
better than the last.
leagues better than the last. My gripes that I have with it, I'm glad that Luke is here. I just feel like he is so cartoonishly evil in a way that I don't mind him being cartoonishly evil, but in a way that feels antithetical to what we've seen from him, or maybe it's just the image I've concocted of him in my head. And again, it all comes down to not that he was going back and forth with Percy, but the exacting answers that he gave like 5
Yeah.
times in a row before being like, "Wait a minute. What's your game, Jackson?"
I do agree. He's a little too comically evil and a little less cunning than he comes
Yes.
across in other scenes. And I
Yeah.
really think that Luke as a character does best when he is cunning. He's one step ahead and he's smarter in every way. He's predicted, he's thought about how Percy is going to be Percy and upset his
Mhm.
plan, and he's prepared for even that. And the fact that he was just like, "Ha, you're asking all these questions because you're about to die. That's fine. I'll answer them because you're stupid. And you forgot the answers from the first time, you idiot."
What it really comes back to is I love, because it's so important to his character, when Luke leans into the Hermes nature of himself, the
Mhm.
trickiness of it all. And when he just becomes a brute, he just becomes a bruiser, it's just so boring.
Yeah. The most interesting version of Luke is a Luke that is cunning and tricksy and thoughtful and smart. And Luke who just says, "Fine, I'll kill you then. Here are my big brutish guys. They'll kill you." It loses some of the charm.
It does, and I don't mind a Luke where I like the idea that he is prone to anger, clearly, and that it is a sort of, for now, Achilles heel that he has that can be exploited. It's just when it's not done in any nuanced way, and I feel like it undercuts a lot of the really cool characterization that he could have, and right
Mhm.
now, Luke moments are a luxury good. We don't have a whole lot of Luke moments in these first few books. Like, they're
Yeah,
there,
across
but we
the
even
series.
talked about, we didn't have the context of his trajectory. We'd be like, "Hey, it's kinda boring."
Mhm.
So, I don't know. In comparison to everything else in that chapter, genuinely pretty minor gripes. Everything else,
Yeah.
really liked it. I thought we bounced back pretty well from
Yeah.
chapter 16.
I think the moment you get to the Oracle stuff and Percy really taking his grudge with Clarice and setting it aside, I mean, that's the peak of the chapter for me. That's so fucking good. That's exactly the type of shit I love to read, I love to see. That's just it makes me happy. That's really good, and I think everything that you get from that point forward continues to stay really good. It obviously has some natural ebbs and flows, ups and downs, but I think that's a really enjoyable chapter. But unless we have anything else to say about it, I think we can move on to some myths.
Yeah, well, Connor, this is where it's weird because we did 2 chapters, so where are we sitting? Where are we right now?
Well, we've traveled far, but I didn't figure it would be good for us to be stranded with some hippocampi, and I understand that I've been critiqued in the past for some dangerous scenarios. So we're on the Miami Pier, Jack. The Miami Harbor piers. We're looking up at the Princess Andromeda. We're not
Uh-huh.
on the boat. We're
Okay.
we're
Cool, we're on
down
the
on the
boardwalk.
docks. We're on the
Great,
boardwalk.
awesome, love it.
I've got two myths for you today. The big one is Hippocampi. They're a big player in this chapter. We've seen them pop up a couple times this book. But before we get into that, I want to actually quickly stop on Elder Python Venom. And when I was actually planning which myths should go into each episode, all I originally had for chapter 17 was Elder Python Venom question
Mm,
mark.
mhm.
So I was a little relieved when we decided to combine 16 and 17 into a mega episode. Hooray,
Uh-huh.
problem solved. I can just talk about Hippocampi. But there I was getting my chapter reading done. I started on the myths and I was like, I was looking at it. And I saw Luke say it again. And I was like, okay, I'll try it out. I'll see where it goes. And it's the way Luke says it so confidently. I had to. I had to. And unsurprisingly, unrelated, but related, I really enjoy the story of how Phoebe and Apollo slays the dragon python to claim the gift of prophecy. Which, by the way, if you want to learn more about that, I'm not going to be talking about it today, but I did a full breakdown for chapter 9 of The Lightning Thief. Neither here nor there. The thing is, I don't remember Python being venomous. So I was like, all right, maybe I've been wrong before. I'll give it a look. And in a super fun turn of events for me, I think I found out not just where this detail comes from, but how it escaped me. So, first things first, I needed to answer the question, are there literally any other pythons from Greek mythology that this could be? And the answer is, of course, no, of course not. It can't be. because pythons are named after the python, not the other way around. So in Greek mythology, there is but one python, and that is the python that Apollo slays. And, well, Luke tells us that the venom came from the pits of Tartarus. And that does align with Percy Jackson lore. We learn in Blood of Olympus and the Heroes of Olympus series that when the doors of death were open, Python returned to the land of the living and reclaimed the gift of prophecy, which is what blocked Apollo from his oracular sight. This means that canonically, at this point in time in the series, Python is still in the depths of Tartarus. And here's where we finally get to the myths. Because, as I thought, in the oldest versions of the story, Python is in fact never described as venomous. But they are described as venomous in later works, specifically the works written by Roman writers. Starting with Ovid, Python starts to become described as venomous. In Ovid's Metamorphoses, he writes, "Indeed, though she would not have desired to, she then gave birth to you, great Python, covering so great an area of the mountain slopes, a snake not known before, a terror to the new race of men. The archer god with lethal shafts that he had only used before on fleeing red deer and roe deer, with 1,000 arrows almost emptying his quiver, destroyed the creature, the venom running out from its black wounds." So there it is. Canonically, the elder python venom that Luke used to poison Thalia's tree must have come from none other than the python who once presided over prophecy in Delphi before she was slain by Apollo. And that is why Rick describes Python as venomous, or where we get this python venom from.
Interesting. Why isn't it capitalized?
Why isn't what? Fuck off. You know, I realized as soon as you asked. So I did think about this, and I'm not going to spend too long on it, but my impression is that the fact that it says elder python venom somehow implies that maybe at this point in the series, Rick thought he might use descendants of Python, but that never happens. Like, there's never another time where they fight pythons, so fuck it. Elder Python, there's only one, and he's really old. She's really old. Python has a shifting gender. Happy Day of Transgender Visibility. This is not when it comes out, but that's what it is today.
Uh-huh. Yeah. And that's cool. You still didn't explain why the proper noun wasn't capitalized in the book. Because
Rick
now
is
it looks
weird.
like it's an old snake. It's just old snake venom.
It is an old snake. I don't know. Look, man, I gave you what you wanted. I explained it. I
What
fixed
do
the
you
plot hole.
mean?
Where's my check, Rick? I'm not talking to you. I want my money.
Oh, take it easy, man.
I fix Rick's plot holes. He sends me a check in the mail. This is how this works.
Oh man, wow, that's
I'm
great.
still waiting on the first one.
Let's move along, Grandpa. Let's get to Hippocampi. All right.
Absolutely. Okay. Let's talk about today's real
Also,
myth.
wait a minute. Hold on. I just realized. You know what was mentioned again last chapter? Nereids.
No. I don't know what you're talking about.
Nereids were mentioned. Why aren't you ever going to talk about them, man?
I specifically don't think nereids were mentioned last chapter, Jack. I think you're
Was it
lying to
this
me.
No. Hold on. No. Because Percy's like, I remember talking with them.
Nah, man. You can't gaslight me. There's no nereids in that chapter.
I'm not. No. You're not going to do that to me. What is the vendetta? What is it? You're like, man, I guess we'll do, I don't know, elder python venom. You don't know why it's not a proper noun. You don't know why it's not capitalized, but you refuse nereids. They're right there.
I don't know what you're looking at. I don't think they're in this book.
Dude, I don't. All right, man. You know what? Yeah, for both of our sake, let's Hippocampi. What are they?
They're fish ponies. They're fish
awesome.
ponies.
Hooray.
There you go. That's the whole missection.
That's exciting.
No. Okay. Hippocampi. So hippocampi make their first recorded appearances in the ancient Greek mythological landscape via their appearances in artistic depictions on pottery and coins that have survived to the modern day. The earliest depictions that we have surviving to today in these physical mediums are dated back as far as 1000 BC, and they are exactly what you would expect. They depict hippocampi with the front legs and head of a horse, along with the rest of what I would consider a general horse-like shape in the front. Of course, this is only their fronts because halfway along their backs, their bodies transition to a more fish-like appearance with a scaly texture and long, somewhat serpentine fishtails. Of course, there are minor differences among the various depictions. However, I personally found hippocampi in ancient art to be really definitively recognizable. They have very distinct features, and they're really easy to pick out. That being said, art like this does seem to be the place where hippocampi appeared most often. We have art of Poseidon, nereids, and other gods and goddesses such as Thetis riding hippocampi. They often appeared on artwork in temples and bathhouses. Basically, they were a way to represent divinity anywhere that water was referenced. And as such, they don't appear as much as you might think in literature. They're another one of these creatures that exists more as a part of the natural Greek mythological ecosystem, something you just know exists, rather than appearing as an important feature of a specific work. That said, I was able to find some specific literary references to hippocampi. We actually get a really solid description of hippocampi in the second book of the Thebaid by Roman poet Statius from the 1st century AD. Consider this line where Statius is describing a place of beauty where Neptune brings his steeds to rest. It reads, "Around an inner bay, Tenairos curves his broken shoreline, not bold to breast the outer waves. There, Neptune brings home to haven his coursers wearied by the Aegean flood. In front, their hooves paw the sand. Behind, they end in fishy tails beneath the water." And this isn't the only time Statius described hippocampi for us, as they also appear in the Achillead, written around the same time, where he writes this about Neptune. "He towers on high, the peaceful waves urging on his team with his three-pronged spear. Frontwise they run at furious speeds, amid showers of foam. Behind, they swim and blot out their footprints with their tails." Now, neither of these describes them specifically as hippocampi, and that is a problem that we will continue to have. I couldn't find anywhere where they are referenced by name, but the idea of horse in front, fish in back, very clear with these quotes.
Mm-hmm.
Now, thankfully, Statius is not the only literary source for hippocampi, as they also appear in the Argonautica. Rather amusingly, I wrote this myth section for a much earlier chapter when I hadn't beaten you all over the head with my point that the Sea of Monsters isn't just inspired by the Odyssey, but by the Argonautica as well. So I'll spare you that lecture. I know you just got that last episode.
Thank you, Connor.
Furthermore, I confidently stated last episode that we had already talked about the Argonauts' stop in Libya at the end of their journey. But I specifically remember saying I couldn't remember when and just couldn't be bothered to figure it out. Well, I figured it out. You see, it was this myth section that got cut from chapter 7 and has ended up in chapter 16, 17, 10 episodes later.
The puzzle. One more piece.
It all comes together. So, the earliest reference to hippocampi in Greek mythological literature is in fact in the pages of Apollonius Rhodius's Argonautica. It was for this myth section that I had already seen it, and one hippocampi appears to inspire Jason and his crew of heroes in the final moments of their journey when wallowing in self-pity, believing that they would never arrive home. Which, before I continue, yes, that should sound familiar to this book. Yes, that is exactly what happens in this book. The only difference is in this one, they ride the hippocampi, which is objectively cooler. You get brownie points from me for that one, Rick. So, setting the scene. Jason, as we discussed last episode, has acquired the Golden Fleece. The Argonauts set sail for his home of Iolcus to complete their quest. Unfortunately, Jason and Medea have decided to trick, murder, and dismember her brother, which pissed off Zeus, causing him to absolutely fuck with their return trip so that they cannot go the right direction. As a result, the Argonauts find themselves stranded. Their ship has been forced into a gulf and now sits amid a desert with sand as far as they can see in every direction. The story goes, thus one spake, and among them Anchius, the helmsman, in despair at their evil case, spoke with grieving heart.
Verily, we are undone by a terrible doom. There is no escape from ruin. We must suffer the cruelest woes, having fallen on this desolation, even though breezes should blow from the land. For as I gaze far around, on every side do I behold a sea of shoals and masses of water, fretted line upon line, run over the hoary sand. And miserably long ago would our sacred ship have been shattered far from the shore, but the tide itself bore her high onto the land from the deep sea. But now the tide rushes back to the sea, and only the foam, whereon no ship can sail, rolls around us, just covering the land. Wherefore I deem that all hope of our voyage and our return is cut off. God, bitch, moan.
Yeah, the Argonauts genuinely, they're all just like, this is the end of our journey, we're gonna die. And so that's exactly what they do. They just start wandering helplessly into the desert to die. It reads, then straightway dark evening came upon them, and piteously did they embrace each other and say farewell with tears, that they might each one, apart from his fellow, fall on the sand and die. And this way and that way they went further to choose a resting place, and they wrapped their heads in their cloaks, and fasting and unfed, lay down all that night and the day, awaiting a piteous death. So
Damn.
yeah, they literally just like, yeah, they're like, fuck it, we give up, we're gonna die. This
I
is
want to
the
kill
end.
myself.
They
Odysseus is
don't
like,
even
I
have the
get it.
balls to do it. They just lie on the sand. They say, let the universe do it to me.
Hey, man, we've all been there. I get it.
Thankfully, some nymphs are paying attention, and they look at these idiots and they're like, what the fuck are you doing? And upon seeing these heroes acting completely and utterly dejected, they decide to take pity on them. At this point, it's unclear whether the nymphs are goddesses, but Jason thinks that they're goddesses, so we're gonna go with goddesses/nymphs. It doesn't matter. Either way, we know that they are coming to their aid and that they are protectors of Libya. It continues, and this is talking about Jason. The hero cast down his eyes and looked aside in reverence for the goddesses. And as he lay bewildered, all alone, they addressed him openly with gentle words.
Ill-starred one, why art thou so smitten with despair? We know how ye went in quest of the Golden Fleece. We know each toil of yours, all the mighty deeds ye wrought in your wanderings over land and sea. We are the solitary ones, goddesses of the land, speaking with human voice, the heroines, Libya's warders and daughters. Up then, be not thus afflicted in thy misery, and rouse thy comrades. And when Amphitrite has straightway loosed Poseidon's swift-wheeled car, then do ye pay to your mother a recompense for all her travail, when she bare you so long in her womb, and so ye may return to the divine land of Achaea.
I'll be honest, I don't know fucking 50% of what I just said.
Okay, let's go over it real quick. Actually, it is very funny that you say that, though, because specifically Jason is going to immediately after this be like, I don't know what the fuck you said at all. Genuinely. That is like what he does. And what they are saying is basically, why are you so fucking sad? The tide's gonna come back, and then you should be thankful that you have a boat. So the mother that you pay for all her travail, whatever, that's the Argo. So the she bare you so long in her womb is them traveling in the Argo for so long, so that you may return to the divine land of Achaea. That's just Greece.
Gotcha. Okay.
Basically, they're saying, hey, we're really important, so you should listen to us now that we've given you our credentials. Get off your ass. Poseidon's gonna bring the ocean back. Get in your boat and get back out to sea, you dumb motherfucker.
Okay, that makes sense now. It was the mother and womb thing that was really throwing me off. I never know in these stories if they're being literal or metaphorical when it comes to moms and wombs.
Yeah, that was metaphorical, but hey, if it makes you feel better, Jason didn't get it either.
Cool.
So it reads, "Thus they spake, and with the voice vanished at once where they stood. But Jason sat upon the earth as he gazed around, and thus cried, Be gracious, noble goddesses of the desert, yet the saying about our return I understand not clearly. Surely I will gather together my comrades and tell them if haply we can find some token of our escape, for the counsel of many is better." He spake and leapt to his feet and shouted afar to his comrades, all squalid with dust, like a lion when he roars through the woodland seeking his mate, and far off in the mountains the glens tremble at the thunder of his voice, and the oxen of the field and the herdsmen shudder with fear. Yet to them Jason's voice was no whit terrible, the voice of a comrade calling to his friends, and with looks downcast they gathered near, and hard by where the ship lay he made them sit down in their grief, and the women with them, and addressed them, and told them everything. "Listen, friends, as I lay in my grief, 3 goddesses girded with goatskins from the neck downwards round the back and waist, like maidens, stood over my head nigh at hand, and they uncovered me, drawing my cloak away with light hand, and they bade me rise up myself and go and rouse you, and pay to our mother a bounteous recompense for all her travail when she bare us so long in her womb, when Amphitrite shall have loosed Poseidon's swift-wheeled car. But I cannot fully understand concerning this divine message. They said indeed that they were heroines, Libya's warders and daughters, and all the toils that we endured aforetime by land and sea, all these they declared that they knew full well. Then I saw them no more in their place, but a mist or cloud came between and hid them from my sight." Thus he spake, and all marveled as they heard. Then was wrought for the Minier the strangest of portents. And we're finally at the part where the Hippocampi arrives to now show our heroes the ocean and inspire them to continue their journey, because I guess they forgot the ocean was over there. It reads, "From the sea to the land leapt forth a monstrous horse of vast size, with a golden mane tossing round his neck, and quickly from his limbs he shook off abundant spray and started on his course with feet like the wind." And admittedly, that reference to a hippocampus isn't quite as clear. I've got another one that clearly cements this as a hippocampi, so we'll come back to it in just a second. But continuing, "At once Peleus rejoiced and spake among the throng of his comrades."
Oh, that's me. I'm Peleus.
Yep, you're Peleus too.
I deem that Poseidon's car has even now been loosed by the hands of his dear wife, and I divine that our mother is none else than our ship herself.
God, I chose the right voice for this guy.
You did? I was really impressed with that.
I was like, Peleus, this guy's got some bullshit he's going to be saying. He pushes up his glasses.
For surely she bare us in her womb and groans unceasingly with grievous travailing. But with unshaken strength and untiring shoulders will we lift her up and bear her within this country of sandy wastes, where yon swift-footed steed has sped before. For he will not plunge beneath the earth, and his hoofprints, I ween, will point us to some bay above the sea.
Thus he spake, and the fit counsel pleased all. This is the tale the Muses told, and I sing obedient to the Pyrrhides. And this report have I heard most truly, that ye, O mightiest far of the sons of kings, by your might and your valor over the desert sands of Libya, raised high aloft on your shoulders the ship and all that ye brought therein, and bare her 12 days and nights alike. Yet who could tell the pain and grief which they endured in that toil? Surely they were the blood of the immortals. Such a task did they take on them, constrained by necessity. how forward and how far they bore her gladly to the waters of the Tritonian lake, how they strode in and set her down from their stalwart shoulders. So they picked up the boat and they apparently had to walk 12 days to get it back to the water. I don't know how they
Damn.
got so fucking beached, especially when they just saw the hippocampi jump from the ocean literally seconds ago. Maybe they're just really weak and they're moving like an inch a day.
God damn, it's a heavy boat.
This would be so much easier if we had Hercules, guys. Fuck.
God, fuck.
Why'd we leave Heracles behind? Damn. Now, I mentioned earlier that this isn't a super clear reference to a hippocampi. However, there are many references to the, quote, Poseidon's horses, which are frequently depicted as hippocampi. Now, one really good reference of this that affirms that this is in fact supposed to be a hippocampi comes from the retelling of the Argonautica by the later Roman writer Valerius Flaccus from the 1st century, who wrote, "Not so mighty are the billows when the sea comes in beneath the cloud-compelling south wind. Not so fiercely exults the southwest wind upon the main, nor Orion when grasping his father's reins, he heaves the sea with the snorting of his 2-hooved horses." So, Orion's father here refers to Poseidon, or really Neptune in this instance, because he's a Roman, and we can tell that these are in fact intended to be represented as hippocampi and not horses from the line, "He heaves the sea with the snorting of his 2-hooved horses." 2 hooves implying only the front ones, thus a fishtail in the back. And that is all about hippocampi.
Maybe they're just only got 2 legs.
That's true. Maybe they do got only 2 legs and a
Yeah,
tail.
They're just like they're a human-shaped horse, not like a
Oh God, that's
satyr.
awful.
It's just the front
God,
horse.
they're BoJack Horsemen?
It's just the front horse, yeah.
Oh no. All right, well, I guess that's where we're leaving it.
Woo! Man, oh man, what a mega episode.
I hope we don't have to learn about any more horses next episode. I've talked about horses way too much for this podcast that's supposed to be about
man.
mythology.
Uh-huh, yeah, well, good foreshadowing, Connor.
I'm shrugging. What do you want from me, Jack?
I want the outro.
Oh, well, that's so valid. All right, then. We'll see you guys all next time. I hope you enjoyed our mega episode. As always, it is a labor of love. Make sure you leave a review and a comment and all the other things. But with all that said, we'll see you next time.
See ya.
Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed this podcast and want to support our content, please be sure to leave a review, share with your friends, and follow us on all your favorite podcast platforms. Until next time, this has been Notes from the Oracle. Dude, you really did pick the perfect voice for Peleus.
I know.
That was gold.
My thought process was, I feel like, I'll do just kind of a snivelly voice, and either it'll be so out of character that it's funny, or violently on character.
Violently on character was correct.
It's a win-win no matter what. It's great. Yeah. No, I'm glad I trusted my instincts with that. That's
You did
interesting.
great with all your lines this one. Just before you continue, and please do, I just wanted you to know you also did fantastic with the Libyan goddesses and with Anchius, who you gave just the most grieving heart voice. Wonderful across the board.
Thank you. I attribute it all to my time as Odysseus. I really got to flex my acting skills. No, I loved that. And you know what? Props to you, Connor, for trying to piece together that Elder Python thing. There was a part of me that's like, do I mention the capitalization? Like, do I
I'm
just
glad
let
you
it go?
did. That was the counter argument. I failed, to be honest. My high school English teachers, they'd be so disappointed. They're like, you brought up the counter argument, but then you floundered. Because I had nothing. I had nothing.
Yeah, it really does just come across that he's like, yeah, I had really old snake venom from Tartarus. Like, all right, that's weird.
Yeah, because it's like, even Chiron couldn't heal it at the beginning of the book. So I'm like, dude, I gotta find out where this comes from because it's gotta be important.
Uh-huh.
And maybe I have too much faith in Rick that I'm like, please, it's gotta be from a real monster. It would cause me pain if it wasn't. So this is the headcanon I'm going with.
Uh-huh. Hey, man, that's fair. I think you did a valiant effort trying to explain kind of nonsense.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it.
Speaking of nonsense, dude, I know we talked about it a lot while we were recording. I chapter 16, I'm starting to think about because we're near the end. I'm starting to think about tier list stuff. I'm
Mhm.
trying to look at the book in totality because really we're in the last what, like 2 chapters, 3 chapters?
Yeah, we're doing 18, 19, 20, right? So 3
Yeah.
left?
Yeah,
Mhm.
and it's about 30 pages. So there really isn't a lot there.
Yeah, there's not a lot left.
I dude, that chapter 16 might be in one of my bottom spots for the book tier list. Or not the book tier list, the chapters ranking.
Yeah. I'm looking at the table of contents right now, and I'm thinking about it. And I might have to go back and reread some of these because I'm remembering some good things about Demon Pigeon's attack, but I remember being really fucking upset that they weren't paying attention to the Stymphalian birds.
Uh-huh.
They just kept
Yep.
being like, "Hey, look at that. Look at those evil birds making awful noises. I'm sure those are normal." And I
Yeah.
do remember that pissing me off a lot.
Uh-huh.
I
Yeah,
do
I
think as I'm,
will
like, looking at all of them,
Mhm.
it's probably between 5, 6, and 16 for me right now.
Yeah. It's that's if I were to really dig, I think it'd probably be about those for me too. I will also have to do another skim. Honestly, probably re-listen to some episodes just to refresh
Mhm.
myself because it's interesting. The notes that I have in my book sometimes don't exactly reflect the opinion that I have after we have a conversation.
Mhm.
So if you were to just look at my notes for chapter 16, it's very middling. Like there's nothing
Yeah.
too crazy. I
I
now am like, wow, I walked away kind of pissed off.
I was about to say the same thing. I did not expect to come away from 16 so violently upset about it. Especially
It's
because and I do think because we did it as a mega episode, 17, I think, colored my opinions. I think 17 was really good, and that made me
yes.
come across middling on both of them, when in reality, I think I really enjoyed the good parts of 17, and I really did not enjoy the bad parts of 16.
And the good parts that were there were so few and far between, like there just wasn't a whole lot.
Mhm.
It is, I think, becoming increasingly apparent though that the book as a whole has some very stellar good moments and
Mhm.
sections and character dynamics. Tyson's fucking great. Like I'm a big Tyson fan at this point in time. This book is potential, man.
It
There's
really is, yeah.
so much potential, and I know that we did, like, our kind of ad hoc rewrites for The Lightning Thief every now and again. I feel like we do it a lot more for this book.
Oh, definitely. I was actually about to say that I think that is, like, truly the undoing of this one is the peaks. The peaks get up to where Lightning Thief got, but the Lightning Thief, it, like, lingers at those peaks a little bit. And this
Mhm.
one, every time we get to a peak, it's like there's a steep fucking drop off.
Yeah.
Like, it opens so strong, immediate drop off for chapters 5 and 6. Great moments with Hermes, and then it drops off again. And then you just have this up and down with this one where the ebb and flow leaves you feeling those pits a lot more than the slow moments in the previous book we read.
Yeah, I almost honestly, to tie it back to something in this book, I feel like I struggle with referring to them as highs and lows. I almost imagine this book, this journey, as though we're in a really fast car, like we're with the Grey sisters. And it's like,
Mhm.
we're speeding, and it's great, and it's fun, it's frenetic, and it's awesome, and then fucking slam on the brakes. And then the driver looks back and says, "Stop having fun. Stop having fun. Stop. Nope." And then
Yeah.
they show us a couple things. They're like, "Hey, see that open stretch of country road? We could go down that way. We could. It's right there. We're actually turning that way right now." And we're like, oh boy, we're gonna go so fast. It's gonna be awesome. It's gonna be so cool." And they're like, "Nope, just tricking you. We're actually going back on, we're in suburban back roads right now. We're going
We're gonna take
25
this
miles an
frontage
hour."
road through Athens,
Yep.
Michigan, where the speed limit is 15 miles per hour.
Yes, exactly. Exactly, and it's like, "Alright." And then they're like, "Alright, we're back. We're going so fast now." And then, "Okay, alright, that's enough. We're gonna drive around the parking lot of this mall." And they're like, "Well,
Yes.
could we do donuts?" It looks like you can do donuts in this car, and they're like, "Maybe. What if instead of a donut we did this?" And then they just kind of do a slow circle. It's like, "Alright, well, that was kinda close to what would have been cool, but it just wasn't." That's what it feels like. I don't know if that makes sense. Maybe it's a little too high concept of a metaphor.
Oh, no. Oh, no. Au contraire, Jack. I think that is a perfect description. And in fact, I agree with everything you just said. That is that is the feeling that I think I'm coming away with. But, like, that's why I think, like I said, the low moments in this one, or as you would have called them, those moments of like, "Ah, see, we could be doing that."
Yep.
They feel so much worse because
Yes.
constantly you and I are like, "Wow, there is this really cool thing you can do with whatever character is involved." Whether it's the Camp Half-Blood stuff, or introspection for the characters, or the Poseidon stuff
Mhm.
in chapter 16, it's just sitting on the table,
It's right there.
and then it
And
just
y
stays there.
Connor, I just realized, and my eyes are closed right now, it's tantalizing.
Oh,
The book is
no.
tantalizing, bro. It's right there. It's right there. We can see it. It's just out of arm's reach, though.
Yeah, you're just right.
It's a
I'm upset
I
because you're
know.
right.
It's Tantalian, bro. It's crazy.
Damn.
Uh-huh. Isn't that sobering?